Hey! Welcome to another edition of Towercrane Television. I'm your host, Jay Nye, Towercrane Guy. We're doing the live edition today. This is not pre-recorded or anything, so we're going to be, I'm doing the last pick right now, and then we're going to be doing some concrete. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to put you guys at, I'm going to put you a couple of different angles today. So I'm going to put you 1, 2, 3. I might put you 4 different angles today, but maybe 5. I don't know yet. We'll just see how it goes. Hope everyone's having a good day. Mine's not too bad. As well as can be. Give you guys a little shot and insight of what it's like to run the crane. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. You'll have to excuse me, I smoke like a freight train, but it's been a pretty decent day. Just getting shit done. You know how it goes. If you're watching the stream, please drop a like, leave a comment, say hello. Ask me any question you want about cranes. I'll try to give you the best comprehensive answer that I know. If I don't know the answer, I'll get back to you on it, and I'll find the answer. So, we're gonna get rolling on this pick. We're just picking up some 2x4 right now. So right now we're just gonna pick up. We're about 155 feet out on the boom. This is a luffer. We're in a Comanche LCL 310, capable of picking up 59. It's capable of picking up 10 pounds on 4 parts of the line. We're on 2 parts, so we're probably picking up about 26. I think max on this is 26,000 on 2 parts. I think the heaviest thing I've picked up on this job is maybe a container. Concrete bucket's about, well, yeah, between the concrete bucket and the container. So that's what we're getting ready to do right now. We're going to pick up a concrete bucket. It'll weigh in about 9 to 10,000, just depending on depending on the mix, to tell you the truth. Whatever mix they put in, it kind of varies on the weight. So that'll make the bucket heavier or lighter depending on the mix, depending on how much slew they got in it. Or the slump, I should say, not slew. Slew's the crane. You know, if they've got a really heavy, if they got a really heavy slump in it, and it's got a lot of water, if it's a real heavy water-based concrete, I think the lighter weight base, the more slump they have, the less weight it has. The less slump they have, the heavier it is because it's more concentrated, you know what I mean? So when it's not a real loose concrete, it'll weigh lighter. And when it's a real tight concrete, where they don't have as much water in it, it'll be pretty heavy. I mean, it'll really buck the crane down. Kind of how far the jib is out. How far the boom is out. We're on a luffer, not a flat top. So the question, if anybody's got a question, what's the difference between a luffer and a flat top? So a luffer, the boom goes like this. And a flat top, the boom is out like this. And you trolley on a flat top, and you boom up and down on a luffer. So there is no trolley on a luffer. Luffer goes up and down. Coming to you, Keegan. You want to drop them chains in that little cutout right there, you want to drop them somewhere else. They're trying to decide what to do. Yes, sir, I'm hanging right above the concrete bucket. Tell you what, we got a quick minute. How about I move you guys up here? Let you get a dose of what's up there, and we'll go from there. Did I leave that? Where the hell is that? I did. Okay. You guys hang out there for a second. Let's see. Gotta do this quick before we get going. Bear with me. I'm trying to put the legs on my GoPro here. Just look at where we're at. If you want to see that. But I'm gonna put you guys up here. So I'm going to place you right up top here. So that was. Give you guys a couple of angles today. I know this is stuff I never got to see when I was watching someone operate a crane on YouTube. You know, you'd always get the one angle, so I try to mix it up, you know, and let you guys get different angles of what's going on and how it's going on. And that's one thing when I researched videos a long time ago, when I was researching videos on YouTube for Towercrane operations and watching guys run cranes. It'd normally just be one view. You really wouldn't get a a bunch of different views. So when I came up with this channel and decided to do this, I was like, I'm gonna make this completely as different as possible from everything I've seen. So a lot of guys will just do one video at one angle, and I like to do several different views on one video. Kind of gives you a different walkthrough of.
Yeah, Jason, right now we're waiting on someone to come out and fix this concrete truck. The chute on it is broken.
Oh wow.
So it's not moving or anything.
Well, that's not good. Is there any way you can move it up and down manually?
No, there's not. We tried it from the outside and the inside, and there's just nothing working.
Cool question. Is that chute on? Is it on hydraulics?
Yeah.
Is there any way to disconnect the arm of the hydraulic so you can move it freely by hand? There should be. It should just be bolted up. If not, there might be a pin that you can pull and maybe disconnect it. This way you're not sitting so long waiting for someone to come out. It's just a suggestion. I'm not telling you to do it.
I mean, I know they got someone coming out right now. I just don't want to be fucking with the truck because the drivers are not even over here. He's over at the end of the street.
10-4 boss. Kind of at a standstill. The concrete truck, I guess, is broken. Well, the chute is, so the guy can't really deliver his concrete. It sucks. Gotta have a working chute. So, yeah, what's wrong with this? Yeah, you're done. You're done. Can I angle it down a little bit for you guys? Can I possibly do that? Can I? Oh lordy, here we go. Yes sir. Yes sir. Let's see how that looks. Let me move that. That might help. Guys, the full Monty. Oh, why don't I open this up for you too? I'll be nice today. I don't open this shit up, so I like it all contained. My mini clips. Here we go. I'll give you guys. I'll give you the full deal here. I'll let you see everything. I normally don't open this shit up, so I like it nice and dark in here. I don't like to see anything. I don't like to see anyone. I like to just tip here and mind my business. What the fuck? What the fuck? There we go. There's one. Let me get this other one. Get you guys all hooked up here. And we'll see the full spectrum of what's going on. There you go. There you go. Oh, Jesus. That thing exploded. See that? You can't pull it back as far as you think you can. That spring said, I'm out of here. That's the second one that's done that to me. It just said, see ya. I shot out the back door. Good thing I got one of these. Okay, now I'm curious, where the hell did it go? Anyway. Oh, there it is. See if I can fix it. About a minute. How's this go? Let's see. Cool. I fixed it. Alright. Now where were we? So let me see if I can get you guys a little bit more window view here. Turn down for what? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
This truck broke down out here. Are there nothing else to pick right now?
Nobody's called me.
What did you say?
I said nobody's calling for me to pick anything. I'm just waiting.
It's simple. They got a technician on the way.
10-4. Put them shades up. Get you guys down there just a little further. Yeah, it gets warmer here quick when you open this up. Real quick. Real quick. guess I'm just gonna kick it back. And, I'll wait on the next call. While we're waiting, let's move you guys again. Why not? Let's move another one. Let's go another route. Let's do that.
What?
Let's do it before they call us. There you go. Now you guys are up here. Let's see how you dig this view. You guys may like it, you may not, I don't know. Don't care. I do care, but if you do, you do, and if you don't, you don't. I mean, not too much I can do about it. What I am gonna do though, is I'm gonna plug you guys in. Yep. It's all crazy and shit on it. Yes, it does. Snettled here. Let's try that, see what that looks like. How's that look? Oh, lordy. There we go. It's not a bad view. Not too bad a view at all. We're sending them out.
Vamos a tirar primero las modelos, la clase luego la parecida y luego los cálamos, que ese frente lo vamos a dar para atrás y ya nos vamos a traer más. Ok, vamos a tirar la parecida y luego lo que reste para los cálamos. Sí, correcto. Para los que ganan con los cálamos. Si alcanzan dos, si alcanzan tres. Ok, muy bien. Entonces sí, primero la parecida. Porque no te vaya a quedar ahí, la podemos, pues digo, nomás la trae primero y después la buscaron. ¿Cuántas llantas que tiene un camión? Tiene 7 yardas, mijo, 7 yardas. Vamos a sacar cuenta ahorita, no te éramos, vamos a calmar. Tengo.
Oh, but it's a different view for you guys to see. Kind of get to see out the window, kind of how I see it. I'm sure they're gonna call me here soon for a pig. They just haven't done it yet. Crane's available if anybody needs it.
What was that, Jay?
I was letting those guys know the crane is available if they need it, because the concrete truck is disabled.
van a ser 3 cálamos y la paletita. Es 4, nada más, 10, 4, nada más, asegúrate que no te vas a quedar que el cálamo corto. No, ahí estoy bien, ahí estoy cabal, porque voy a tirar el cálamo pequeño y 2 grandes. Acuérdate que tengo uno de 8 pies, otro de 10 pies. Entonces voy a tirar ese y la paletita se va a 1.6 y los cálamos 1.5 y ahí salgo bien.
I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but this is my LMI. This is my load moment indicator. That's what LMI stands for. And then this is my reverse camera that I have. I have a camera on the hoist drum, and I have lines painted on the hoist drum. It lets me know when it's moving, so I'm not waiting for the load to pick up or set down. I can actually see the hoist drum turning, so I know that it's turning. It helps you when you're setting stuff real gently. Helps you when you're picking stuff up gently. As you can see right below us, it's a pretty busy road. It goes to Highway 277 coming out of Charlotte. So we're right here at 277 and 77. You can't see it, it's just beyond this road that you're looking at right there. But there's a big freeway out there. And beyond that, there's a bunch of skyscrapers, and I've shared videos and pictures of those skyscrapers on the shorts, if you guys watch any of those, the recent ones. It's very, if you ever operate a tower crane, you kind of get to see the world in a different perspective. You know what I mean? You're constantly up in the air, everything looks smaller, and you just see the world in a completely different aspect. And that's just one perk of the job. Sunsets, sunrises, absolute best. You know, you're getting to be part of something where you're building something from dirt to completion, and it's a pretty rewarding feeling to see the finished product. So. There's not more going on. I actually thought we were going to run the concrete bucket. But we'll spin around some more and kind of take a look around from where I'm at. As fast as this crane slews, it does not slew any faster than this. This is top speed for this crane. Send another one out. just turned into a couple hours longer. Sorry, I have nothing more interesting to show you guys. It's kind of the breaks. Sometimes I get on these lives and I'm hooking and booking and moving, and other times I get on here and it all comes to a stop right when I get on. So. Where are you at?
Right here, 4 o'clock corner.
I guess we're gonna do some work.
Alright, you can give me a cable off and give me a little more money.
Right, cost much now. Got a great job today, mate. Keep it up. Keep it up.
It's perfect. Stick for now.
Man, put that on me. Wait, you were looking too. I was just trying to figure out what he's doing over there. It looks like to me he's rebuilding a pump over there. I don't know where it came from, though. He usually just scraps them and replaces them. It costs us a shit ton of money, but I mean, look at him. Keep it.
Alright, then, hold your way, mate. Give me a little more stuff here, buddy.
Maybe this is a new leaf for you.
Alright. I'll get you one like that. Keep the cable out. Alright, put the cable.
You know what? We should go over there and talk to him and tell him he's doing a good job. I really reward his work ethic. You know, maybe that'll keep it going. Let's go over there. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm sure he would like that. Nothing much, Ricky. You know, just come over and check on you. I see you get a lot of work done tonight. I really appreciate you rebuilding that pump for us. You doing good today?
Alright, cable out, buddy. Cable out.
Well, I didn't say too much longer. I'm gonna let you get back to it. Really appreciate you. Okay? Really appreciate you.
Cable out, cable out. Cable out.
See you later, Ricky. Hey, why were you yelling? You couldn't tell he's vicious.
Alright, cable off and give me one down, buddy. Cable off and one down.
Look, I gotta go to Ross right out there. I'm gonna tell him to bring the air hammer in. I'm gonna ruin his day for sure. Stuff to do.
I'm gonna ruin his day.
Ricky at all today? Surprisingly,
You are, you want some?
I haven't had to go over there and get
Come
him.
let me check the number.
You just run over there. You
Check
need
this.
to yeah, I mean, I'll see.
That's fucked up. I'm gonna ruin
Stay right here. Just give me 7. Right on the face, buddy. We'll be right here.
10-4. Oh my God. Got nobody. Damn. That just sucks.
Alright, hold your phone right there. Hey, cable down. You're perfect right there. Give me 40 feet down, buddy. No, 40 feet. Cable.
Well, we're hard at it again.
Alright, you go down, buddy. Hold on. Cable down, buddy. Cable down.
This guy doesn't know what he wants to do. Poor guy. I think Cinco de Mayo got the best of me.
Hey, give me one push up, alright. Cable down there, hey, easy now.
What you guys up to today? Drop a comment. Drop a comment. Tell me where you're from today. Where you watching from? What you're up to? What kind of trade you're in?
Alright.
What you like about the channel? What you don't like about the channel? Give me some feedback. What you want to see more of? What you want to see less of? Give me some feedback. Hey, Chone, you got to stay with it. You got to stay with the call and make sure I get clear of it, bud. These damn slippers off, they're too warm. Those are my winter slippers and it's getting more like summer. What's everybody up to today? Drop a comment. Tell me where you're from, what kind of trade you're in, what you like about the channel, what you'd like to see more of. 10-4, I see. Howdy. How you guys doing today?
Okay.
Put shoes back on. I'm gonna put you guys right here. I've had you up there for a minute, so let's take you down from there. Howdy. How's everybody doing? You guys up here with me. Get it suited. Just give me a second. Bear with me. Bear with me. So now they want to do concrete. 10-4, doing concrete. So we're going to swing over here. These GoPro batteries do not last long, so I have to constantly keep it plugged in. So that's where I'm at with it.
You ready?
Yes, sir. I'm coming your way. Drop them chains right beside you. Yeah, right in there. Hey, are you gonna need to dump your extra concrete in that hole though? Let's put the chain back a little further, like by this column right here. So that being said, my favorite word, we're gonna close this back up because it is extremely warm today, and these blackout curtains help keep it cool in here. The difference it makes having these curtains up, temperature-wise. The whole reason I do it is less wear and tear on the air conditioner, because there's nothing like being in a hot ass crane with broke down air conditioner. There's nothing worse than that. Nothing worse. Yeah, there's nothing worse than being in a hot, unbearable crane. It's the absolute worst. Try to take it as easy as I can on the AC, so I don't have to have a technician come out here and fix it. That can get, like I said, it's very unbearable to be in a metal and glass box with no type of air conditioning.
My boss, you jump 3 feet. Right there.
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
4, I had to change radio, the top one died.
Oh, 10-4.
Come on, you ready? Did you hit, sir?
Let's get those back down too.
We doing a full bucket or 3/4? There's no right here. The small one, maybe 30 feet, the bottom that you play for. And here on one in the close.
Full bucket. Anything past the elevator cores is a 3/4. Anything before the elevator core will be a full bucket. So yeah, full bucket.
Full bucket. The front.
We'll do this first bucket with this view, and then I'll flip it around, put you guys on the floor, and let you see the bucket and how we operate it. It's gonna be really close to the crane, about 30 feet from it. So.
Alright, boss, give me easy up 3 more feet.
When we do the next bucket, I'll show you the process of what you have to do with the luffer compared to a flathead when you're picking up a heavy bucket.
Alright, boss, looking good, nice and easy.
You gotta do the same thing with a flat top. Whenever you're picking up a bucket, if you're close to something, like this way or back, you have to, you gotta boom up first, or you have to trolley in a little bit first, just to keep it from swinging out.
Cable up, you got it. How many do you want? Alright, well, we're right here on one in front of the 30 feet out of this.
10 for 1 o'clock. So yeah, we'll do this first bucket like this with the camera view, and then we'll do the second one on the floor. Yeah, I'll show you guys. I'm watching my hook height right now, and I'm watching my radius kind of tell me 30 feet from the crane. Watching my hook height. My hook height is about 105 feet in the air. So, and your cable is always going to come up as you boom up. So, just like when you boom down, your cable will go down. Right above you.
Okay, we're down 30 feet. Maybe more cables down. Keep more cables down, wasn't it? What did you put, was it? What did you pay for? Maybe I was like this. What do you think?
So they're doing a barrier wall, It's like a half wall. This is for a parking deck. So you got a 5-story parking deck under here, and then the rest of it will be building up to 17 stories. So that's what they've got going on. They're actually filling in that. Wall with the bucket. The wall is so thin that they can't put a pump truck on it. It's just it's too small. The bad thing about pump trucks is once the concrete starts pumping through the hose, it doesn't stop until it's cleared out. So if they were to fill that wall up and they had concrete still pumping, if it was still coming through the hose, there's no way to stop it. So there's no shut off or anything. It has to literally clear itself out. So that's why they pour all this smaller structure stuff like columns and little walls like this. They'll do it with the bucket just to preserve the concrete and make sure they're not wasting any of it. It's probably pretty expensive. So, like I said, as soon as I get done with this bucket, we swing back to the truck. I'll drop you guys down here on the floor, let you see the full swing of what we're doing with the bucket, how we're picking it up from the truck, bringing it over here. They've got about half a bucket left right now. And we'll come back to this wall with the next bucket, and you guys see how they fill it in. You'll see what I'm talking about when I drop the camera down. It's a really thin wall. It's not very big. Might be a couple feet wide by maybe, looks like maybe 6 foot high. Maybe. I'm just basing that off the guy standing next to it. Stuff gets real tedious. It just takes them a while to do. Even with not columns so much. Columns, they just kind of blow and go. They'll just pull the handle, fill her up. Usually takes about a bucket and a half for a good sized column. They do the smaller sized columns. It's usually almost the whole bucket, not quite the whole bucket. There usually be less than a quarter left in the bucket. Got about a quarter bucket left. We're going to boom up a couple feet and we're going to swing left. And we're going to fill, it looks like you're going to try to put something. They're going to try to put something in the middle of the wall. see me hitting here, which you already clicked on, was the that's your slewing gear. That's the brake for the slewing gear. Keeps the crane from doing any sudden movements. Just kind of locks it in place. Bucket's almost empty. Slow with it. So they get a vibrator. It's like an industrial vibrator they put in there, and it'll settle the concrete. It'll literally just shake it down. And so they're running that vibrator back and forth from where they started their original pour. So they had. I mean, there's very little left in the bucket, and they want to come over. So this. Yeah, probably do one more bucket on this wall. And it literally takes that. I mean, it's very little movements. To go slowly, just tap, 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 tap. They're wanting you to move like inches, maybe a foot. Just barely tap. See, like, kind of hold it. But you don't want to hold it too long because it'll cause pendulum swing in your bucket. So, lock my brake. You know, if you want to move just a little bit, you want to tap, 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 tap. They want you to move it. They want you to move. They want you to move a foot or more. I'll release it like this. I'll release the brake. Hold it for a second. Hold it for another second. Hold it for another second until he tells me to stop. See, he just told me to stop. Hit my brake. Hit my button right here, which puts me in a granny mode. Got two buttons right here. So this button, if I hit this button and I push forward, that's to lower. If I hit this button, that's to hoist up. But it'll do it in a really slow speed. The same with this button, not for swing, only for boom up and boom down. That's the way this crane is built. So this swing on this is very slow, so it's not a fast swinging crane. Like I said, it's an LCL Comanza 310. It's a pretty big crane. Max pick on this is like 59,910 pounds on 4 parts of line. We're on 2 parts of line. Our max pull is 26,455 pounds on 2 parts. So this bucket is just about dry. Like I said, it's a very slow process because the wall is so thin. If this was a bigger wall, they could have literally like dumped it and went. When they're doing something this small what they'll normally do is they'll put a backing piece, so when they dump the concrete, just like this, the concrete will hit that backing plate and then go back and then go into the wall. So they normally pour it really slow. I'm gonna drop you guys on the floor and we're gonna swing her back. So give me just a second here. Here we go. Let's put you guys down here and let you get the full view. Here we go. We're gonna cable her up and we'll go back to the truck. So I'm gonna make sure I get my distance here where I want to be. I like to keep her about 80-85 feet just to be clear that there's nothing, no obstruction in my way. With the bucket, it's that or lower. With the 30-foot chains, it's higher. So, this particular crane has a zoning, so once I hit the zoning, the crane will lock out. So I have to be real careful about how far I boom down and all that. So I have areas where it's zoned out, so when you have a boom, when you're running a luffer like this, and it has, I have so much cable that when I'm booming down, I have to be careful how fast I'm cabling down, because it'll literally just fly itself out like a kite, no matter what's on the end of it. So you just got to be gentle with it, because it will take off on you. Just very gently set it down and let them fill it up, and we're going to head back to the same wall. And you So just real quick, while they're filling it up, I'm just going to show you guys. So I have a reverse camera, and that's my hoist drum. I painted lines on it, different colors, so I know when it's spinning, because it's completely gray without those lines. And then here's your LMI giving you your max weight, your radius, your hook height. There's no weight on it right now. And there's your slewing that tells you the degrees. You put your bat down here, and we're going to take off with this. So we're going to cable up high enough that we clear all the columns. Like I said, about 85 feet is where I go with this one. As I start booming up, it's going to cable up. So I want to control the height by cabling back down as I'm booming up and as I'm turning. I want to make sure there's no obstructions in my way as I'm turning. You always want to keep an eye on your load, keep an eye on the ground. You don't want to take your eye. You want to be fixed on it. Make sure you're watching what you're doing. As you can see on the left, our guys are going to be down there ready to receive the bucket. Okay, so you're done with the wall then? 10-4. So we're not going to do the wall, I guess. The wall's actually full, so they didn't tell me this until I swung over there. This crew has a habit of doing that, so it's a frustration, trust me. So we're gonna boom down. Now what I like to do is I like to boom a little short, get the height down to them that they want, and then kind of boom down to them real slow. As you can see, I'm quite a bit away still. I'm still 86 feet in the air. So as I get closer, I'll wait for his call and then cable down and get it closer to him. There's the call. You always want to wait for your signal person to give you the call. You can get close, you know, but you always want to wait for the. You always want to wait. You always want to wait for their call, so you're doing everything on their command. As you can see, there's guys down there working, so you want to. He's getting it close to him, just not, you know, touching him. You don't want that. So.
Right, boy?
So I'm going to give him a little tap to the right, just a touch, and that will almost boom it down to what he needs, because then it will center it. And then I'm going to give him a little tiny boom down.
A little more boom down. A little.
Lock that brake.
All the cables, alright, leaving cables down 2 feet. A little more, hold the cable.
So when they call for like a 6-inch drop like that, that's when I hit that button and it goes into granny mode, and I just cable down just a touch, because it literally just turns the hoist drum really slow. And I can see that in my reverse camera that I have hooked up. I can see how slow it's turning. So when he asks for 6 inches down, that's exactly what I can give him. And I can see that clearly on my monitor for my reverse camera. Now, the reverse camera, things like that, these are all things I've added myself. It's not a company issue or nothing. These are all little things that help me be a better finesse person when it comes to the crane. Really helps when you're in the blind. You know, doing all this stuff where you can see it's one thing. Doing it in the blind is literally putting your trust in somebody else's hands. So you want all the tools you can get your hands on to try to help you out in the assistance of that.
Alright, most of the cables down, I need almost 6 inches more cable down. Slowly and more. More do you pay for one?
Communication's a huge factor when you're doing stuff like this type of work, tower crane work. You want good communication with your crew. Sometimes no communication is the best because you kind of know what each other need without telling each other. It just depends on the crew you're working with. So it seems like there's a lot less communication when you can see and a lot more communication in the blind. Hopefully there is. Juan, how many cores do you have? So you have all those columns right there that you're looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7 columns.
Okay, so the one you're standing right in front of and the one next to it, I can do full buckets. But the ones further out behind you are 3/4 buckets.
Over here, that's full bucket?
No, 3/4 buckets. Those ones there, yes. Those are 3/4 and back.
Therefore.
That column by the elevator core, we can do a full bucket on it too. But that's it. That's the furthest we can go with a full bucket.
On this one, yeah. That one on this.
Yeah, those two are full buckets. And then that one over there by the elevator core, that's a full bucket. The one by the elevator core. But those other 4 will all be 3/4 buckets.
10-4.
10-4.
Alright, so put that one column over here.
So there's a little bit left in the bucket. They've been doing this. They're clearing out that bucket. They've had some issues with the concrete drying on them, and it's just a communication issue between the ground guy and the guy up here.
Alright, maybe hold the swing, or I leave it pull down, 1 feet more pull down.
It's just a communication issue where they're not communicating well enough
I need a more down.
to put more slump in the concrete.
More one, more down.
Putting more slump in the concrete. But they have to keep a certain PSI on this concrete too. So they can't put too much slump in it or it won't pass. So there's all kinds of attributes that come with concrete. I mean, it can be very finicky. Columns have a certain PSI, decking has a certain PSI. They all have to meet a standard. So it's not like you're filling up a bucket and you're dumping concrete. It all has to meet a certain standard. So, and I have no idea what the PSI is for any of this stuff. I just deliver it. That's beyond my pay grade. So It's not my job to know the PSI.
A little more, boy. A little more to down. More than you go. More than you go. Alright. Give me cable down, one big cable down. Slowly, boy.
So I'm gonna hit the graining gear here. Gonna cable down to him a couple inches, maybe 6, maybe a foot.
More than you cable, boy.
So that was about a foot.
That's good, boy.
They're gonna get rid of the concretes in the bucket right now. We're gonna go back to the truck, get a full bucket, come back to this column. So we're good here. We're gonna take off. And check my height. I'm gonna check my. Checking my height. I'm checking my radius. So my radius out of that truck is about 107. So it's about 107 feet of boom down. So I'm gonna lock that radius in before I ever get there. So I literally can just cable down. These are all, you're taking prior steps before you get there. So you're quicker with the crane that's slower. If this was a crane that was faster, I wouldn't have to worry about this as much. So we're right at about 108, 107. It keeps teetering back and forth. As I get there, I'm gonna start cabling down because we're about 80 feet up.
Alright, boss, slow your swing.
We're having to be 80 feet up because we have a 3-story building underneath of us. And we're going into a. We got a 3-story building already up. We're going into. We're going into a drop on the ground, so it's a lot lower. Like I said, you don't want to boom up too fast and
cable down 20 feet.
Cable up or cable down. You don't want to boom down too fast or cable up, cable down. You create a bunch of pendulum swing. So that's something you don't want to do. When you get to this point where you're almost to the truck or you're almost to the column, you just want to take it easy. You just want to take it nice and easy. Because like I said, you get pendulum swinging.
5 more feet. 3 feet. 2 feet. 1 foot. Hold it.
The reason there's so much pendulum swing in this crane, even at that height, is I've got over 400 feet of cable. Because the crane is 209 feet in the air, the boom is 197 feet, and then you start putting radius on that, and the highest radius would be 400 plus feet. My lowest radius is like 307 feet of line of cable. So there's a lot of swing that will go into a load on this just based on the cable alone. When we have the 30-foot chains on here, you have to control from cable to block. So there's the swing, and then from block to chain, there's the swing, and from chain to load, there's the swing. You have to control all those, and you have a lot going on when it's that much, like I said, that much cable. So I'm gonna boom up here first to secure my load because it is so heavy, so it doesn't want to pendulum out. Put some on it, just enough where it starts to pick up. Kind of level it out. Might have picked it up a little too much here. I'm gonna touch exactly. I'm gonna touch boom down a little bit, and then I'm gonna cable up.
Cable up, you got it. Coming to you on. Alright, boss.
10-4, boss. Get up feet. Make sure I'm clear of everything. Back to the same column we're at.
Right, if we boom down, then we boom down. I need a more road and you want me down. What did you do? Right, if we cable down, then we boom, cable down, then we boom. Favor? Alright, let me cable down one feet more. Cable down slowly one feet more. Hold your cable.
Higher up you are, the more a little tiny bit of movement will make a huge difference as that momentum travels to the ground. So a little tiny movement can go a long way. Where if you're lower to the ground, a little tiny movement really doesn't do too much. It takes a bigger movement to move it. So the higher up you are, the little movement will make a big difference. Because it's the momentum of travel, you know, through the cables. So that little movement, once it literally ricochets to the ground and starts to move whatever you're attached to, it will move it more than you expected with a little movement. It's because you have so much cable between the top of the jib and the end of the load. So it takes a minute to travel. That's why you want to do little movements until you kind of get some momentum going. If you're lower to the ground, then your little movement really ain't going to do much. You can actually put a little more momentum into it, and it'll actually start to move. So I mean, basically what I'm saying is from the time you hit the control to the time it actually moves, there's a delay because of the distance of cable, of the cables. shorter the distance of the cable, the less time it takes the crane or the load to respond to your movement. It's less delay, is what I'm saying. The higher up you are, the more delay there is. So you have to anticipate that delay depending on the weight of the load. It all depends on how much you got on the hook.
What is the next one? I'm over here. Let's swing, left people.
It's like moving 10 feet. I'm hitting it and holding it for a couple seconds and then I'm letting off of it. Just to get it so it will finesse it.
Right, if you boom down.
So as I boom down, it will cable down. So I'm going to cable up so slightly as I'm booming down to keep it at the same height. I'm going to let it pendulum out a little bit, and then I'm going to try to catch that pendulum to get it right where I want it.
One bit more boom down, boss.
So he's saying 1 foot boom down. So I'm going to try to give him, tapping on it or holding the button and giving him a little bit. Either one does the same thing. So I can either tap on it or I can hold the button.
Cable down 5 feet.
So I kept the 5 foot of height the whole time by cabling up as I boom down. Where if you run a flat top tower crane, you don't have to cable up
A little more cable down.
When you run a flat top tower crane, you don't have to cable up as you trolley out. The cable stays at the same height. On a luffer, if you boom down, you got to cable up to keep the same height.
If you cable down a little more.
I'm gonna hold that
A
button
little more.
that I showed you guys earlier,
More than you cable, boss.
and that gives it just those couple inches, 6 to 8 inches, a foot, and it gives it to him in a transition that's slow. It's nice, slow, and steady. Especially when you get a concrete bucket on the end of this, you don't want it hopping up and down. It could potentially hit somebody in the head. So these are all factors you have to take into account when you're running a different style of crane like this. You know, on a flat top, you know, think of a luffer like a fishing rod. You know, it will bend, and if the more you cable up and down quickly, it'll put flex in it. And same happens on a flat top, but it's more of like, I think a flat top may be even worse. The further you are trolleyed out, it will literally go up and down if you cabled up too high, or, you know, if you cable up too fast or cable down too fast, it will give it that bounce. And that's what you want to stay with. That's the way. That's it's nice. It's nice having that button because it takes that out.
Coming to you again.
So we're gonna get up here about 80 foot again. I'm gonna check my radius. We're at 116. I'm gonna remember that because we're gonna come back to this. So I'm gonna get my radius at about 107 as I'm swinging. Now, as I'm booming up, you know, it's cabling up again. So it took my height from 86 feet to 96 feet. So my radius is about, but it's jumping between 103 and 107, which I'm good with. My height's a little high. I'm about 97, which is fine. I can start adjusting the height now. And I'm just slowly cabling down. I don't want to put a bunch of pendulum swing in that. I got lines out there I don't want to hit. So and to be honest with you, I don't want to catch a bunch of pendulum swing. So this, you know, if I take it a little slow, it reduces that. So So he's saying I'm good to cable down 20 feet, so we'll keep the radius where it's at. It's currently at 105. We're gonna keep that. We're gonna watch the truck. We're gonna watch the bucket.
Boss, looking good. Cable down another 15 feet.
And the faster I cable down, the more it pendulums out.
Hold the cable.
So he's gonna get it a couple feet into place.
Nice feet down.
I'm gonna cable down to him. We're touchdown. So the sweet spot here with the concrete truck's about 104. As soon as the other truck comes in, it'll change, just based on how he parks. So, and then back at our column will be about 116 out. So I'll get that adjustment after I cable up and I start swinging. I'll boom out to about 116 and boom down to about 116 and be good. It's a lot easier to run a flat top, I think, than a luffer. Luffers are just a different animal. They run different. They pendulum swing different. Something that you do too quickly will cause a different type of pendulum swing than you would with a flat top. And you still get the you can still get the circle of death with any crane, depending on how hard you're running it or how much you're not controlling the load. So.
Full bucket or 3/4? This one has full bucket. The length, only 3/4. So full bucket for this one. Yes, sir.
And just remember, just because you tell a signal person or a rigger on the ground what would be best recommended for the load doesn't mean they'll always follow it. As you heard on the radio, they repeated what I said on the direction of the columns and how much they need to put in the bucket. So that's a good communication line with them. They've done it a couple. They've done it a couple times where they've overfilled it and they have to empty it because the crane will just shut off. It can't handle that weight at that low a boom. So we're gonna boom up first, like I told you guys before. I'm gonna boom up, and what I'm doing is I'm centering that weight based on the weight that's in the bucket now. So I will get it just where it's almost off the ground and I'll start cabling up. And if I have to adjust, I'll adjust on the fly. It's good. I'm gonna cable up. And I'm doing that boom up to support the weight that they've put inside that bucket. So I'm gonna get my height before I start full swing. Get my height to about 80. So I'm gonna be booming down, so I'm gonna lose height. So I want to go up just a little higher. And I'm going to start booming down to my 116 as I'm turning. So we're about almost 116. We're about 114. I can boom down a little further, keeping my height about the same. So we're at 116 right there. So it should, according to the radius, because that column is right in line with the last one, it may be out just a little further. So I'm going to start cabling down at this point and kind of bring it to him enough where he tells me hold up. And as you can see, because I cabled down, it pendulums out because it has so much weight in the bucket. So I'm going to let it pendulum in. I'm going to cable down a little bit as I do, and it pendulums out. I'm going to boom down, slow it first, and then right when it hits its peak, I'm going to boom down kind of fast and catch it. just so it stops the pendulum swing. Then I'm going to continue my cable down.
A little more,
So it's a little past him. As you can see, he grabbed it. So I'm going to wait for it to come back. I'm going to wait for it to come back on the boom. So as it pendulums up and it hits its peak, right when it's in, I'm going to boom up, just touch it. Touch it, touch it. Enough for it to center it and cable down too. It should be right over top of the column. You gotta remember, you got almost 10,000 pounds in that bucket. I mean, it's gonna move. There's no getting around it. It's not gonna sit perfectly still. There's no way. So I don't know if they're waiting on Christmas or what they're doing. So he wants a little touch boom up. I'm gonna hit the button. I'm gonna give him a little touch. Little touch. So I'm gonna hold the button and lower. I'm gonna stop. And there it is. So those next columns that you see those guys on further out, that's going to be a 3/4 bucket. So it'll take more buckets to fill those up because we're losing 1/4 of a bucket of concrete. Cable up. Let's go over to this next one. Check my height.
Alright, boss, cable up. Put the other one column, boss, over here in the middle. Oh, boss, right, you can pull down. Pull down there, please.
Remember, the further you are on the boom, the more it's going to bounce. The shorter you are on the boom, the less it'll bounce. Depending on how hard you cable up or cable down too, but just like I told you, it's just like a fishing pole. Just like a fishing pole. You got something heavy on the end, and it's trying to get away from you. It's gonna bounce. You got something light on the end. No matter how far the cable, the fishing rod is down, it's not gonna bounce. So we have something heavy on the end. You want to take it easy, because the quicker you boom down, the harder it'll bounce if you boom down too fast. So when you're this close to where your set point is, you just want to take it easy. You know, you just want to take it nice and gentle. fishing rod at a 45-degree angle at all times trying to fish. Running a flat top is having your fishing line at a full 90-degree angle trying to fish. And you can't move it up or down with the flat top. But with the luffer, you can. You know, you can adjust how hard you want to pull that fish in or how easy you want to set it down. I mean, that's the equivalent, that's the best analogy I could give it. It's a lot like fishing, but you're using, like, you know, a lot heavier weight.
All right, boys, you be careful down 6 inches more. A little more. More than you think, boys.
People say, what do you do for a living? I fish all day with a crane. I'm a fisherman on a construction site. I fish rebar and concrete, columns, forms. About 135 on that. 135 on that radius. 135 on that radius. So I'm memorizing the radius right now, where that was. I'm gonna boom up to my radius to the truck. I never write radiuses down in the window like other operators do. I've seen other operators do that, and I don't do it because radius changes all the time. I mean, they might do that corner to corner of the building, and I just don't. I memorize it. So it's one thing I've never done. I've never wrote radiuses down. I just try to memorize them. So we're at 135, 136 out at that column. I'm going to swing over here. I'm about 106 out. I need to bring it into about 103, 104. I'm going to do that on the pendulum. So as I'm booming up, I'm cabling down, trying to catch the pendulum.
Cable down 30 feet right there.
And whenever you have something heavy on the end, like I said, it'll always pendulum out. That's with any crane. If you have something heavy on the end, if you're cabling up or you're booming down, there's something heavy, it's going to pendulum out. Always. It's just, that's the way cranes are made. That's gravity. You know, it's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do about it is trolley in before you pick it up, or you can boom up a little bit before you pick it up. Gonna give him a little bit right swing, just a touch. And then we're gonna easy down with the button, just make it a nice smooth landing. Last thing you want is a guy down there afraid of how you operate the crane, so you want to do everything as smooth as possible. Oh, that's straight water. Jesus.
I'll pull this other truck around, maybe a quarter bucket.
10-4, boss. I'll hang right here.
boss. Easy cable up.
Where'd that go? Oh, went right here. Okay, so we're getting ready to pick this up. And 10-4, boss. So, again, I'm going to boom up first, ever so slightly. I'm going to try to even it up because I don't want the block to run the side like that. Give it a little bit boom up. See how it's starting to come up. I'm gonna actually boom down just a touch, just to keep it set. And I'm gonna swing left as I cable in. Now we're gonna go back to our height. 10-4, boss. So I'm gonna get my height. I'm gonna go a little extra on the height because I'm going to be booming down to that 136 radius. So I want to be cabling up, give it enough that it's got enough to clear as I'm booming. You don't want to boom too hard as you turn, because if you do, then you're going to get a bunch of pendulum. And you want to try to keep that pendulum down as much as possible. So even if I got to boom down a little further once I get there, now you can see it kind of, the pendulum's out. So I'm going to put a little extra into it as it does that and boom down to catch it. You know, and you want to do this fairly gently because you want to be able to control your load, and this way you can get it to them quicker. It takes longer to try to correct the load than it does to slowly do it, you know, and keep it somewhat where it's not spinning in circles like crazy. You don't want that. So I'm gonna let him give me some commands since we're right there. So we're about 132 right now. It should be a couple more feet to the final stage of the boom, but I'm trying to do it in increments so it doesn't create pendulum. So we're about 135 right now. It should be good. I'm going to start cabling down to him.
Alright, boys. Maybe pull down a little more. Pull down. Boom, boys. Alright, you can pull down 5 more.
Give him a little bit right swing, and I'm going to give him a touch boom down, just a touch.
Right, give me a little more boom down. A little more boom down. Give me a little more boom down.
So we're about 135 right there. 130. It keeps jumping from 135, 137. So.
A little more one. There you go. Hold the U-boat. Hold the right cable down. Cable down. A little more cable down. Hold the cable down.
There's all kinds of things to take into account based on load, what it consists of. You know, you don't want a guy trying to grab that thing when it's swinging out of control and it's, you know, 9,000-10,000 pounds on the hook, and you know it can hurt somebody. You know, you want to be careful. You want to be gentle with it. Think about if you were on the other end of that. Would you want someone doing that to you? You know, these are all things to think about. Depending on the load, these are all things to think about when you're operating a crane, so you don't hurt somebody. So, you want to just take it easy. If you're on the other end of that hook, would you want someone doing that to you? You know, would you want somebody out of control and trying to bring you a load? So, I don't believe so. I could be wrong on that, but I haven't heard of anything like that in this crane.
Alright, you can cable down won't be more slowly, boss. A little more cable down, boss. All the cable.
Can you go into a little more detail of what that is? Like, does it level itself out? Like, once it, with a certain weight, certain height? Can you be a little more detailed, Jeff? Oh no, it does not. It does not.
Coming to you again.
It'd be a nice little feature to have, though. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna mark that as 138 on my radius. I'm gonna get my hook height is automatically gonna come up as I boom up because I gotta get shorter with the boom. So I'm not gonna worry. After I get to like 65, 70, I'm good because it's automatically gonna bring my height up of my hook as I'm booming. So. We're about 102, 101 right there. I'm good with that. Remember, the harder you swing, the more it pendulums out. So I'm gonna slow my swing down as I get closer to the truck. I usually do that about the telephone pole. I'm gonna start cabling down slowly. Not crazy, slowly. Why? Because I don't want it to pendulum it out. I'm trying to control the pendulum as much as possible. The less I have to try to control the pendulum, the quicker I can get it to them. Now this doesn't apply to every load. You know, it applies to loads that are potentially heavier than the block. This block weighs 2,000 pounds. Most of the time, the loads I pick are less than 2,000 pounds. So I'm gonna stop a little short because I need to boom down. What happens when I boom down? I lose height. So I'm gonna stop my cable right there. I'm gonna boom down for him a little bit. Now I'm gonna cable down. Give him a little bit of right swing like he asked. And I'm gonna bring it down real gently for him. Yeah, this does not have that. As soon as I start booming down, I start losing height. As soon as I start booming up, I gain height. Every single time, it will not hold it. Now, what I can do is I can slow down the boom, and I can slow down the cable up to literally hold it in place, like, you know, boom down, hold your load, but it's at a crawl. And if I want to do it a little faster, I have to take my fingers off the buttons. If you're watching earlier, I was showing the guys or gals the buttons on the controls. They're literally slow down buttons, and it literally lets you, hey, boom down, hold your load for, you know, 2, 5, or 10 feet is pretty much what it's good for. After that, you kind of got to start doing some adjustments. So
Alright, boss, nice and easy up.
okay, so I'm gonna cable back down a little bit, because even I forget sometimes. I'm gonna put a little slack into it, and I'm gonna try to center my block just a little bit more, and then I'm gonna boom up to get tension on it, so it gets taut. Once it gets taut enough with the boom up, which I see it's starting to get taut, I'm gonna give it just a little touch more, and as soon as I see it starts to come off the ground, I'm gonna cable up. And I'm gonna swing left away from that truck. And that's gonna give it a perfect lift. 10-4, boss. So cabling out, I'm getting past that column right there that you can barely see. So I'm gonna cable up a little further, because I do have to boom down. I'm at 102. I gotta boom down all the way to 138. So I'm gonna cable up a little further. You know, I'm gonna go to about 102 feet. And I'm booming down, I'm losing height, booming down, I'm down to like 90 foot now. We're at 130, I'm at 87, I'm at 138, 139, 140 on my radius. My height is still about 80, and that's where I like to keep it. So it's a numbers game. You got to get your numbers together. So now I'm going to cable down a little further for them. As you see, it's going to pendulum out. There's 10,000 pounds in the hook. So it's going to pendulum out way further than 138, the set point. Now I'm going to wait for it to quit pendulum. Now I'm going to boom up a little bit to catch it this way. And then I'm going to boom down a little bit at the point where it stops to catch it that way. I'm going to cable down a little bit as I do this. I'm catching it each time. Eventually it will center. So eventually it'll just come to a crawl. And that's pretty much what it's doing right now. It's penduluming a little bit. We're still at 130, between 135 and 138 on the pendulum, on the boom, the pendulum of the boom. So I'm cabling down slowly to him. He'll tell me if I need to boom down or boom up. So he's telling me to hold my boom, but I'm not booming at all. It's the pendulum swing. So that I can adjust. I can do the final adjustments once I get it close to him. And that's what he's seeing right now, is that it's penduluming out a little bit. A lot of weight on the end of the hook. So I can give him a little bit of touch, try to help him out, but I mean, it's all on him at this point. If it's only penduluming out like 3 foot, he can grab that. You don't want somebody trying to grab a fucking 9,000, 10,000 pound concrete bucket and it's penduluming out like it's penduluming out 8 to 10 feet. You do not want that. Somebody could get hurt. You know what I mean? So you don't want that kind of action. Now I can clearly see I need to boom down a little further, just a little bit, but I'm going to let them give me the command. They may hold it in place, but I see that I could boom down just a little further. But I'm not going to do that with them that close. I'm going to cable down instead on his command.
A little more. What do you think?
remember this, you know, if you're in proximity where it could hit someone in the head or in their arms or shoulders or anything like that, you want to wait for a command. You don't ever want to do any action without a command. You know, when you're getting it there, that's one thing, and you're still above them at a good height, you know. Once you get it there, you want to wait for full commands from your signal person. So we're gonna cable back up. I'm gonna get my height. Oh, so he, okay. So he still has a little bit in it. I'm gonna cable up a little more. I see there's about 15 to 20 feet right there distance. So I'm gonna cable up to about 84. I'm gonna swing a little bit and I'm gonna start booming down. Try to get it in proximity where they need it. I have a column there and I have a rebar wall there to contend to with as well, and then, you know, two people on top of that. So I'm trying to watch all my distractions and all my objects that are in my way that could potentially, I could touch with the bucket. So I don't want to do that. You know, I don't want to touch that rebar wall, and I don't want to come in contact with the guys on the column. So cable up a little bit more. Just a little jolt, keeping it at about 80, booming down ever so lightly, trying to hold that pendulum swing to a minimum. Okay, so see, when they tell you that, it's cool because I knew I was at 148, so I need to get it to about, that's on the radius, I need to get it to about 153, 154. It should be good. So we're at 154 right now. Let's see what he says. A little more. So I'm gonna give him a touch more. You still looking at it? Yep. Still looking at it? Okay. So like I said, ended up being 154, 155 in that range. Yes, you do. It's a toss up between. It's a toss up between. It's a love hate. It's a Jeff. It's a love hate relationship between booming down and cabling down, and booming up and cabling up to catch that pendulum, whether empty or full. So remember this. My block is 2,000 pounds. My block is my block is 2,000 pounds. Potentially any load I pick up on this job site is less than, except it being a heavy wall form, a big wall form, or this concrete bucket. Everything else is under 2 grand. So when I'm moving those things, I'm literally controlling the block at that point. That's it. So, as crazy as this sounds, this is gonna sound nuts. It's harder for me to catch the pendulum swing of a lighter load than it is a heavier load. Because when I'm catching the pendulum swing of a lighter load, I'm not catching the pendulum swing of the load. I'm catching the pendulum swing of the block. And the load is just there for the ride. That's it. When the load is heavier than my block, I'm actually controlling the pendulum swing of the load. So we topped out at 155 on this column. That's the radius. I'm giving you guys the radius number. So yeah, when there's a lighter load on this block, I'm catching the pendulum swing of the block only. The load is going for the ride. That's it. And I have to just slow things down as I get there to really catch it, because it becomes a slower motion. Kind of like this, because I'm controlling a heavier load, but I have a little more control over the actual load itself because the load is heavier than the block. Hope it didn't bombard you with too much information there. So I've actually boomed up a little too far, and we're cabled up a little too high too, because I was reading your comment. It's okay. So we're at like 120 on the cable. I'm gonna bring the cable way down. As I'm bringing the cable down, and then I can just try to catch it. So I'm cabling down pretty quick. I'm gonna boom down just a touch. You'll see it pendulate out.
Cable down 20 feet.
It's gonna pendulate back in because I actually stopped. So I'm gonna boom down just a little bit. We're at 99. I only need to be at 102.
There you go.
So I'm gonna cable down kind of quick, bring it to him.
Cable down 5 feet, one of my hand bus. 3 feet, 2 feet. Hold it.
He's got a whole load now. We're at 101 on my radius. I need to be at 102 to get the finesse he wants. Cable down, bring it down gently, and there we are. So we ended up at 102, 103, like I said before. If you guys would, at the very end of this video, I want to explain something to you guys, so if you would please stay on so I can explain about all of this that we've done today on this video. It's something I've never explained before on any of the videos, and I'd like to explain it. So when we get down to the last bucket and we get it set down, I'm going to turn the camera around and explain a little more in detail about what we've done today. If you guys would be patient with me and hang out with me until then, I'd really appreciate it. So like I was showing you guys, I could cable down a little quicker and boom down just a touch to get it to his spot. With him putting the weight in it, I could never do that, because if I did those quick motions, we'll go back to the theory of we got a heavy fish on the end of the line, on the end of that fishing rod, and what happens when you cable up too fast on that line, or you pull on it, it gets a bunch of bounce. With it being empty, it won't bounce as much. So I'm going to boom up a little bit. I'm going to give it some boom, and I'm pulling that weight towards me, so when I do cable up, it does not swing out. So I'm getting it towards top pretty good. You know, it's got some tension on it. As soon as it starts to come up, like I see it right there, I'm going to cable up. As I cable up, I can do my final adjustment to boom down a little bit to catch it. I'm going to boom down a touch, I'm going to cable up, and I'm going to start swinging left. I'm doing that, keeping a nice steady pace when I pick it up. You don't want that thing rocking around, knocking concrete out. You don't want that kind of crap going on. So we're going to clear that first column, which is taller than all the rest of the columns on the job site for some reason. And I've cleared it now at 80 something feet. I'm going to bring her up just a touch more to about 105. Now I'm going to start my boom down, because I'm going to start losing that height as I boom down. If I remember right, we were about 156 out there, 155. So I'm booming down, I'm losing height. I'm going to bring her back up to 100. because my final will put me at about 80 feet if I leave it. I'm just gonna leave the height the way it is. We're booming down, booming down. I'm getting closer to my destination here. I'm at 138, so I'm gonna start booming down because I'm in direct line with it now. Now I just gotta watch for that rebar wall and that stud hanging up there, the red stud. There's like 4 of them. I gotta watch for that, and then I gotta watch for the guys on the column. So we're at 152, a little high from them. I like to keep that. So I'm gonna bring it out to about 156, 155. I'm gonna start cabling down for him, and we'll see where we're at here. Okay, he wants me to hold it. I see he's looking at it, so we're not boomed down far enough. So I'm gonna boom that just a little far. I think I'm gonna take it to 158, just to see how he likes that. Okay, so he likes that at 155, where we originally had it. I'm cabling down with that button to make it nice and smooth. That button is a granny gear, so it just literally puts it in a granny, and it literally just goes slowly, and it goes really slow. And it's very helpful for things like this where you can see, but it's really helpful when you're in the blind and you need to just take it easy. You know, you can't see nothing, you're relying on somebody else to give you a signal. I see that the bucket is kind of coming up as they're releasing weight, so I'm just going to give it a couple taps down, just a couple with the button, because I know that's what he's going to call me and ask me for, because we've been doing this a minute. So I'm just going to give him a couple taps, get the bucket a little closer for him so they're not spewing concrete all over the place. And you do it just gently, just give it a couple taps. They realize it, the guy on the ground realizes it. That's why he's not on the radio telling me to cable down a little bit. Those are all things that come with time and experience. So you want to be careful doing that now. You don't want to do it all the time. You got to know your crew. So I know that he's repeatedly told me this other times, the same signal guys, so I know that just take it easy, you know. As they pour, the bucket comes up. Yes, they will have some deflection in the bucket as they're losing weight, so I'm going to cable that down just a little bit for them. I'll do it mainly on their command, but as I see the bucket, the space between the bottom of the bucket where it's pouring out and the space between the top of the column, I'll see it kind of rise up. I'll just give them a little tap on that and bring it down towards them. It's just a couple inches, really. It's not much. So, and I can clearly see no one has their hands in that area. So I'm gonna give a little cable up here, just a little bit to clear them. So that should be good right about there. We're about 67 feet up. As I give this left swing, you're gonna see it. I'm gonna try to keep it up because I'm just tapping it. I'm just tapping the swing to the left. Just tap, 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 tap. Because like I told you guys before, the more cable you have, the longer it takes for the load on the end of the hook to respond. The less cable you have hanging, the quicker the response. So there's a delay. You know, there's a delay in how it's going to respond the more cable it's hanging. That's called momentum. That momentum is slowed down with that much cable hanging. It takes a minute for the load to respond to what you're doing because there's so much distance between the jib and the block. So have you noticed these columns are in line, but one goes to the point of the building. I'm still at the same exact radius I was, but I have to go a further radius down because it actually is at a further distance, believe it or not. So I guarantee this will end up 158 or 159 for center. We're already at 156. He still is looking at it. I'm going to give him some more. We're at 157. I'm guessing 158 to 159. We're at 158. There's 159. So yeah, 159 was the number. And so it lost literally 4 feet. It went 4 feet out longer in distance for the crane. Doesn't mean that's 4 feet out further left or right from the other column, but that's how much more distance it is. It made, so we're gonna go even more. So we're gonna get rid of that number and go to 160. So we're exactly at 160, 159.8, 159.9. It's teetering back and forth. Oh, he wants some more. So he wants like 161, I bet.
A little more. A little more. More.
So we ended up at 161.
All right, you can cable down.
So we went from 155 radius to a 161 radius, and the columns are exactly in line with each other, but you're losing that the further you start turning the crane to the edge of your building. It'll get longer for the crane. Your radius will get longer. These are all things to keep into account when you're doing columns like this and you're swinging left or right. You're always going to boom down or trolley out as you go further to the left or right, because you are going to go a further distance no matter what. So we're at 160 at this radius. I'm going to lock that number in my head. I'm going to cable up. I'm going to start booming up here because I am so far out. So I'm at 70 feet. I'm going to leave it at 70. I'm going to boom up and it's going to gain height. I'm going to start slowly. I'm going to start slowly swinging to the right.
A little down the 3/4.
I'm going to start slowly swinging to the right.
How much you need?
Because I'm trying to get the radius and the swing at the same time to be even. So by the time I get there, I can be about my 102 mark. We're at 120 right now, so I can actually slow my boom down a little bit. I'm pulling it in a little tighter. I'm off and on with it. We're about 104. It's 101. I'm good at 101. I'm tapping it right to control the swing. We've gained some height, so now I'm going to get into my height and I'm going to start cabling down, which will cause a little bit of pendulum swing out. That's okay. I boomed up far enough to catch that.
Cable down 30 feet right there.
So you always, whenever you got power lines and shit like this, you always want to be boomed up a little further, so when it does pendulum out, it's not right over top of the power lines, you know what I mean? It's not right over top of them. You want to be able to boom down to this guy, not have to boom up and take a chance of clipping that stuff, you know what I mean? Much rather be further away than right on top of it. So he's giving me my feet of cable down, so at that point I kind of stop the cable down. I start booming down a little bit. I boom down a little bit and stop booming, and then I start cabling and booming at the same time to give it that catch. Because I'm giving, I stop that motion to do it at the same time, if that makes sense. So we ended up at 103 for him. Like I said, the radiuses will always change. for your rigorous work for the same company as you or for the former company. So I'm subcontracted to the general superintendent, the riggers, and all these concrete guys, and the carpenters are all subcontracted to the general superintendent. So we're different subcontractors. So they're a different, all the carpenters and the concrete guys work for one company. They sub their rebar out to another works for that company they work for the company as a contractor. They're sub, so they're a subcontractor. But I work for this general contractor, but I'm sub to him through my company. So we're gonna get my boom, and I'm not gonna boom up as much. It's not a 3/4 bucket, it's a half bucket. I don't have to boom up as much. So these are all things to take into account. I'm gonna give it just a little tension, a little bit of taut on the line, just enough to give it a little squeak in my pins. So I'm getting a little bit of touch up right there. I don't want it to do that. I don't even want it to come off the ground. I'm gonna boom that down a little bit. I'm gonna cable up, and as I cable up, we're gonna see where it stands. It's cabling straight up. So these are adjustments that come with time and experience. It's all about experience, man. So if you do something long enough, you know, you'll be good at it. You just gotta evaluate yourself. Any job, it's not just this job, it's any job. It's working in a fast food joint, it's being a guy on the ground, it's anything, landscape, anything. If you do it long enough and you evaluate your own work, you'll get really good at it, because you're evaluating yourself all the time. Don't think for 1 minute I don't go back and watch some of these videos sometimes of myself operating the crane to make myself a better operator. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm always finessing my work, always. I'm always trying to get better at what I do. I don't want no one can outwork me. I won't allow it. And if someone does try to outwork me, I'll outwork them. I'll find a way to outwork them. That's my mentality. So we're at 130. I'm about a hook height of 93, 94. I'm keeping that hook height by cabling up a little bit as I'm moving down. We know it's a 160 mark, so I'm booming down slow. Make sure I catch that pendulum. I want to catch the pendulum on this. So it's 5 feet more boom down. So we're gonna go slow. I actually stopped it just to catch it, because we're getting close to the 160 mark. So at this point, I'm gonna touch that red magic button, and I'm gonna boom down real slow to them, because it doesn't put a bunch of pendulum swing in it with the button. We're at 157, 158. We're right there at 160. I'm gonna start cabling down fairly, not fast, just kind of gently. When he tells me that, he wants a little more. So we're still at 160, but he wants more boom down. So I'm hitting that button right there again. And then we're gonna hold the cable right there. So this is the last concrete bucket, and something that I wanted to address real quick with you guys is that I love making these videos. I love explaining the process of what we're doing. This is my passion. I turn my passion into work. I've always had a passion for cranes. I've always loved cranes. I've always loved big machinery like this, and I love explaining how it works. I really enjoy you guys enjoying the videos. I've had guys message me and tell me, hey, you helped me get into a crane, and that's great. I'm glad that I have helped someone achieve their goal. But the bottom line to all of this that I've never said on any of the videos is this: I can give you all these tidbits about cranes, how they operate, how they function, the dynamic of the crane, and how it works, but what I can't teach is work ethic. That's something that can't be taught. It's something that's deep in here, and it's in here, and it's right in your eye. It's what you're searching for. It's what you're trying to achieve. If you want to achieve greatness, it comes with great sacrifice. If you're willing to make that sacrifice, whether you want to run a crane or you want to run your own business someday, doing whatever, it takes great sacrifice to achieve those goals. I can't tell you the amount of sacrifice and the amount of time I've lost with my family, my grandchildren, everything to achieve this goal, and they support me 100%. They've never turned their back on me. They've always had my back. So I just want you guys to know, I love explaining these videos to you guys and showing you the ins and outs, because this is my passion. This is what I do. I can't believe they pay me to do this, man. I get to do exactly what I love to do, and I get paid to do it. So just know that. Know that if you have a passion for something in life, don't let nothing stop you. Don't let haters stop you. Let haters fuel you. I shared a video earlier about haters. Let haters fuel your passion. If you have someone hating on you in life, you're doing something right. Don't ever take that the wrong way, that you're doing something wrong. You're doing it right. Someone's hating on you because they envy you. Remember that. No, sir. There's nothing left in the bucket as far as I can see. Probably just a little residue. Just needs to be cleaned out.
And more. You put it somewhere relatively close.
Absolutely, sir. So just remember that. You got somebody hating on you in life and you're chasing a passion, let them hate. Let it fuel your hate. Let their hate fuel your passion. You know, let it become the fire that gets you to that point. I was in 3 different trades for many years before this, and I had people hate on me all the time. And I turned that hate into passion to do what I love to do, and that's this. When you work a job that you love, you'll say the same thing that I did. And I hope that all of you that are watching this video get to say that someday. Man, I can't believe they pay me to do this. When you finally find that passion, and in your mind, or you repeat those same words to somebody else, I can't believe they pay me to do this, you've locked it, man. You've got it. You have found your calling. So just know that when I share these videos, I like it to be educational. I like to give everyone a run-by-run play. I probably talk too much, and I apologize if I do. Sometimes I probably just need to be quiet, let you guys watch. But I enjoy explaining it to you guys, the step-by-step, so you're right here with me. You know, the video, having the video here let you see it is one thing. Being able to explain it to you step-by-step is really cool for me. It just gives you guys like maybe a more realistic feel of what's going on. I'm explaining to you how the mathematics and the physics of it work. So ask as many questions as you want, brother. Do you ever have enough concrete where you have to use 2 buckets? So the only way that you would use 2 buckets is if you had 2 cranes on the job. You can, all the pendulum swing I explained to you, you could never have 2 buckets attached to one hook, because they would be crashing into each other, spilling concrete everywhere. You could never do that. If somebody has done it, I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to witness that, see the dynamic of how they run the crane, but I've never heard of it being done. Maybe that's something I'll research. I'll try to research into that and look into it and see if I can find some research on it, but I've never heard of it being done. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this today. I've enjoyed it. I haven't really done an explanation video in a while, and absolutely, man, I appreciate your guys' help today. Thank you. Oh, 2 buckets at the truck, so one is filling. Okay, I got you. No, they don't, because you could run into a snag pouring the first one, and the other one could be setting up. If the concrete is in the bucket or in the drum of the truck, they can add water to it. They can add water to the bucket on the ground too, but they can actually stir it, you know, in the bucket. So it's rare. So I have seen that done. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have seen it done, but it's on a very rare occasion, and it's not where we're pouring like columns. It's where you're just literally dumping concrete. There's no there's no finesse. It's all just dumping it out. You're literally just dumping it. So if a pump truck broke down, I would more than likely say yes, they would have 2 concrete buckets going back to back to back, pick it up, go, because they're wanting to pour that floor as fast as possible, and then those guys can figure it out. But normally they use 1 bucket, man. I mean, it's a lot of work to unhook the bucket, hook the other one up. It's just a lot of work doing that. So it's rare that they do it. Yeah, I mean, you know, it would definitely save a lot of time, but it's a lot of time to try to hook up that second bucket when they could just be pouring into that first bucket and you're jamming and going. So I will say this, if a pump truck broke down and I had to run a bucket to pour like a 200 or 300 yard pour into another pump truck out here, they would disconnect the 2 yard bucket and put a 3 yard bucket on and just start dumping 3 yards at a time as fast as they could. Because a pump truck is, they're putting 2 trucks to the pump truck to pump that concrete at a time. So yeah, I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I've had to run a bucket because the pump truck broke down. It doesn't happen too often. Pump trucks are expensive, and contractor expects them to work when they get here. It's very rare that they break down. The pump truck guys usually keep their equipment in really good shape, so we are at the end of the day. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I will be back in here. I will be in the seat tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. I know that's a little early for some people, but we'll do another live tomorrow. I enjoyed this today and show you guys a different aspect of what we got going on. We'll do some more column. Actually, we're gonna be in early do column forms. So they'll have the lights going and they'll be ready to do those. So we'll do some early morning picks. And we'll have the camera down on the floor and I'll let you guys see, get a taste of that and how we're lining those columns up, and let you guys kind of see the job site at night and give you a good dose of the city too on a live video of the big skyscrapers behind me. I'm a structural nut. I absolutely love buildings and the structure of them and how they're built. So like I said, it's a full all-around passion for just construction, period. I love cranes, I love buildings. I mean, I love what I do, and I love all the aspect of it. I don't just love being in the crane, I love the aspect of all the structural work that goes into the building of the building. So anyway, I gotta cut this short. I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta get home to my family, and I appreciate you guys being with me today, man. If you would, let's do this again tomorrow. If you guys are up at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll probably turn the camera on a little before that, let you guys get a good look at the city, and we'll spin this thing around a couple times, let you guys see all the beautiful lights of the city and all the skyscrapers, and then we'll get to work. So we're gonna get off here. Remember, man, let haters fuel your passion. Don't ever let someone put you down and keep you from doing what you love to do. That's what I did. I let people put me down for years and let them crush my dreams, and I turned it around, and you can too. And it's never too late to chase the thing that you absolutely love. So with that being said, I gotta get out of here. Remember, if you don't make dollars right here, it sure the hell doesn't make any sense. You're only as good as your last pick, and we will see you guys on the next pick. Peace out.